How's it going, everyone? It's Vivi, and welcome to Sly 2 Band of Thieves episodes ranked. If you're wondering if I did the same for Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, oh absolutely. If you haven't seen that one, I'll make sure to leave the link in the description below. So like I said in the first episodes ranked video, I do not count the boss battles, because I feel like they could outweigh the points I try to make when ranking each episode. By the way, the prologue will not be counted in this episode's ranked, just like the first one. So with that being said, folks, let's dive straight into it. Coming in at number 8, Anatomy for Disaster, episode 8. This easily gets placed at number 8 just because of the layout of this place, that's for sure. I mean, yeah, it's a blimp. Vivi, what do you expect? But I mean, just moving around felt so much of a hassle sometimes. Not to mention that the level in terms of density, it felt lackluster compared to the rest. Basically, episode 8 revolves around breaking the blimp as much as we can. This involves Bentley doing hacks in order for Murray to enter the engine rooms. Then with Murray, the same thing for Sly. It's his turn. We deal with a bunch of engine rooms and it feels repetitive and just boring. And don't get me started on that bomb mission. Like I said in the past, I'm not a fan of lengthy barrel sections. As for this one, even worse. Not only do you have to walk through narrow, tight pathways with guards all over, but moving around in that barrel to gather magnets, not so fun. The episode also felt short compared to the rest. There's that, of course. Oh wait, one more thing. I never understood why Neela wanted immortality. Like, what the heck? Episode 8, guys, it felt like Sucker Punch wanting to just making an episode longer, just for the heck of it. But in the end, it just suffered. It lacked. But we, of course, can't forget the scene with Bentley's legs getting crippled. That was a big monumental part of Bentley's story throughout the series. That was basically the start of his new lifestyle. His new character development was built over him losing the ability to walk. So yeah, episode 8 comes at number 8, but we just can't forget that scene. I had to point it out. Next, number 7, The Predator Awakes, episode 3. The level starts alright, sneaking inside the spice facility. Then you gotta take down a satellite array, you gotta collect some spice lying around. I mean, getting to those spices felt like such a drag. See moments like these? You wish you had a paraglider. Stealing blueprints from Rajan. Complete game of patience. Not one blueprint, but 3. The bug mission. The fact you run around a lot will surely attract guards. But overall, the bug mission didn't bother me personally. You really gotta find the right path to minimize you getting spotted by the guards. And it does feel like a classical themed Sly Cooper stealth mission, you know, sneaking around, being quiet as much as possible. Speaking of classical, there's some missions that involves a barrel and lasers. You don't walk with the barrel throughout the whole thing, so it was okay. You gotta look out for guards, you sneak under tables, it reeks of traditional gameplay. Now making our way towards the spice grinder, you know, so we can break it. Yeah, we're using a bomb barrel. I wasn't really a fan of that, because, you know, lengthy barrel sections, like I said, I'm not too fond of it. And let's not forget that you gotta properly position yourself sometimes when you're inside the barrel, in order to advance, as you can see here. But yeah, this mission right here had a nice balance there, in terms of challenge. As for the exterior, am I wrong to say that the majority of us just despise the layout of this episode? I completely understand you guys. The likeliness of being caught by a guard is very high in this episode, unless I'm very bad at it. This level has very wide open spaces. It's not like the paraglider is available to you. You can purchase it starting at episode 5. For us to move up a structure, we'd basically have to run on foot. Meh. Not a fan of it. Oh, and breaking down that door so water sips through? Yeah, you gotta make your way there with a barrel. Worst mission award for this one goes to the Ruby.
Despite its size, that rock is really fragile. fragile.
Either you throwing it is completely off, which ends up breaking it, or you get hit by a guard, of course, because you gotta walk around a lot. This episode also could have delved deeper into Rajan's character, I find. Missed opportunity. It's his second episode, right? But hey, who can forget this scene with Neela backstabbing Carmelita? We can't forget about that scene. So yeah, episode 3 comes at number 7 because missions are just frustrating, simply due to how the level's designed. That's all I'm gonna say. Next, number 6, A Tangled Web episode 5. A cool change of pace in terms of level design, a lot of verticality. These narrow pathways simply ask you to jump a lot and move vertically up structures, which I find brought a cool layer of challenge. This level is surrounded by tanks. However, it is fun for Sly, but for Murray and Bentley, with tanks all around, it gets a bit unbalanced in the challenge department. That basically tells you always gotta stay on rooftops as much as you can. Contessa, I just love her as a character. How I wish she'd return if the series ever continues. She could simply return as a voice in the background, not a main bad guy. This scene where she brainwashes Carmelita, memorable, who can forget about this one? The one thing I adored as well, I'm a sucker for lore, and you know it. Contessa bringing up Sly's father here. I had to bring it up. The whole theme of this level is also pretty cool, gothic, haunted, dark magic, ghosts around, breaking the coffin of the wolf priestess, for you to afterwards take pictures of him. It's like a nice game of hide and seek. You really gotta wonder how the camera could even catch ghosts, even with Bentley modifying it. Like, how is that possible? Throwing all those ghosts in Neela's office felt so satisfying after what she did to poor Carmelita and the crew. These missions with Bentley where you press buttons to defeat enemies, there's something satisfying about it. Seeing a gang of guards just go boom in one go, quite fun. But there is one wild beast in this episode. I absolutely despise the tank mission. The controls, everyone, the controls. The rate of fire is so slow, you really have to position yourself accordingly. Oh, and then you have to stop Carmelita and take the eye from her.
How's this thing work? What's this do? And this?
Carmelita being frustrated over the controls, yep, I felt that. Episode 5 ain't bad, but I put it at number 6 because that tank mission really left a bad taste in my mouth. With that said, let's move on to number 5. Menace from the North, eh? Episode 7. Now look, the layout of this place does remind me of episode 3, how wide and open it is. But it's much more fun and bearable, because now you have the paraglider. The worst mission of this episode, straight up the bears. Getting the radio transmitter from their mouths? Sometimes climbing on ice doesn't respond. You think your input on the controller will work, but you might be off a little and fall, and wake up the bears. What I liked about this episode, classic missions with Sly. Here, for example, pointing a laser out the window to melt a huge block of ice for a book, which will help us with the lumberjack games. You gotta move past guards here, sneak around, and all that jazz. The Lighthouse Mission is very cool. Traditional-esque Sly mission right here, going down, dealing with guards, and then go back up while dodging hazards. I like this one. This is more fair. This is what the tank mission should have been like. Just shooting here felt more fair. And the controls especially. That tank in Contessa's episode is just a nightmare. Paragliding here, it was super fun. Seeing the level up top, what a great feeling. And as for the lumberjack games, it was a fun change of pace as well. Some might not agree with me. Some might call it a drag, and I understand why, but to me it was fun. Bassan as a character was very much entertaining. He's so tired at a point he just throws the talons at the gang and boom, they all pass out.
Wait a second. You aren't the judges I hired. It's the scrawny raccoon and his annoying friends. Well, if you want the talons, then why don't you just take them?
While they're out, he snuck into their hideout, took all the parts, and sold them to Arpeggio. Bassan was legit just in it for the money, and that's what I like about him. he stands out a lot. He wasn't in it to kill the gang, he was just involved for the money. When the gang passed out, he could have killed them, but nope, he went after the parts. Just this character bending the rules of a Sly Cooper game? Breaking into their hideout? Just like that? It's pretty cool if you ask me.
How did you even discover our hideout?
I simply looked through the window.
Wait. That's illegal.
So yeah, episode 7 comes in at number 5. It's very neutral, so I thought of placing it somewhere in the middle. I don't hate it, I don't love it, but it was entertaining. With that said, let's move on to number 4. Jailbreak, episode 4. The thing I loved about this episode, you start off as Bentley, who had the courage to drive with the van and end up in this place. To do what? Rescue his friends. There was really this sense of fear in this episode. You being isolated from your friends. You first start by shooting sleep darts at Contessa with Bentley in order to hear her talk to herself. Not only to reveal that she's part of the Claw Gang, but about the whereabouts of Sly and Murray, which was pretty cool. After rescuing Sly, we figure out how to free Murray. We enter a brawl, to get the attention of the guards. Afterwards, we try and get 3 keys from the Contessa, which has a lot of classic stealth plastered all over it, which I'm a fan of. This point where Murray feels weird and in complete rage mode was a lot of fun and very memorable. It's kind of like a game of tag. Luring Murray towards those hypno boxes. So yeah, this episode comes in at number 4 because it really goes to show how each member of the Cooper gang is essential. How each of their skills is capable of getting them out of tough situations. Each of them played an important role in helping one another, and I loved that. With that said, we move on to number 3. A Starry-Eyed Encounter, episode 2. As we get closer to number 1, the remaining episodes really have classic tones to it. This one, for example, I put episode 2 at number 3. We're looking at a ballroom dance with undercover cops. One mission involves ransacking a guest house for pieces of a tuxedo. Sly wearing a tuxedo is one of the most memorable moments of Sly 2. You dance with Neela? Meh, who cares about Neela? But you dance with Carmelita? Alright. This is super cool. What's funny about this scene, Carmelita compares Sly's dancing moves to Neela. You can already tell how Carmelita has this weird hate relationship with Neela. And for some reason, Carmelita wasn't able to recognize Sly. Okay, to give Carmelita credit here, Sly hinted at his identity to Neela, how he chased her down in Paris. So yeah. This episode has a mission where we fire security choppers. Not a fan of point and shoot, but this mission didn't take away my liking of this episode. There is one section I loved, fighting alongside Sly as Murray, while Bentley hacks the servers, in order for the wench, which Bentley calls it, get control of it, holding the clockwork wings. Seeing these 3 in the same room will always be a plus for me. So yeah, episode 2 comes at number 3, because there's a lot of classic tone to this episode. There are some gimmicky missions, firing turrets and all that, but it's not too much of a hassle, at least for me personally. The dance sequence, although I'm not a fan of button sequences either, it's still a memorable sequence. So yeah, let's move on to number 2, He Who Tames the Iron Horse, episode 6. Our first mission starts with sneaking around while Jean Bassan has a conversation with Arpeggio. That's really cool if you ask me. Already the episode starts with a shocker, like, oh, I'm in the same room as Jean Bassan already, okay, I really gotta be careful. Going under tables, taking pictures of the train routes, it felt intense, I loved it. When Carmelita pops up, we see a bit of Bentley's insecure side. He has no idea where Murray is hidden. Carmelita hid Murray. But since Bentley has no idea where Murray is, he gets all worried, because he usually has everything written down. Anytime we see a character being challenged on an emotional level, that's a bonus for me as well. I love lore, and with lore comes character development. Small things like these are super sweet. Landing on the cabooses while using the paraglider is so much fun. I don't know if you're aware, but I love using the paraglider. Sneaking in the train is one of my favorite missions in this game. You can't compete with this one. You're on a moving train, there's guards around, sneaking on the sides and all. Am I the only one who adores this mission? Another thing, running away from Mother Bear with her bear cub gave you this sense of impending doom. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. but how we throw that cub, I mean, it's a bit sad. Dealing with Neela, well, unless you're bad at paying attention at multiple things going on screen, for me, personally, it just felt great firing at Neela after what she did. So yeah, episode 6 at number 2, because this episode has this sense of intensity. Jean Besson in the beginning, the paraglider sequences, relying on precision, Carmelita in this episode, the train sequence, you gotta love that one. So with that being said, we move on to number 1, which is probably very predictable. The Black Chateau, episode 1. What am I going to say about this one? I don't know if it's nostalgia, but this one, it's all about classic, traditional stuff. We're talking about a purple iguana running a nightclub. We break into the nightclub. You have Neela supposedly helping Sly. In this episode, you wonder, okay, Neela's part of Interpol. This is before playing all the later episodes, okay? Bear with me. Just having Neela help us out added a nice layer of mystery, which I liked. This episode, honestly, it doesn't really have any gimmicks. Shooting turrets down and stuff like that. No, it's just us three, breaking in, getting past lasers, laying bombs down with Bentley. There's even a little puzzle section with Bentley. Unless you consider this sequence a gimmick, it's a different feel, and yet quite entertaining. There's a memorable scene where we break into Dimitri's counterfeit money factory. When I think of episode 1, I always think of this sequence, breaking that huge sign to cause a hole in the ground. And we can't forget this majestic line of Sly's.
I have no idea what you're saying. And your suit sucks.
So yep, episode 1 comes in at number 1 because it's simply a beauty. Going through missions showcasing each of our characters' unique set of moves. Like this was the introduction of Sly too. So yeah, naturally it felt traditional. But I don't know, just the feel of it being traditional is what makes me love it so much. So yeah, I don't have much to say when it comes to episode 1. It's just fun. So with that being said, folks, this is it for Sly 2 Band of Thieves episodes ranked. So I will ask you the following. To keep it easier for you, what is your top 3 episodes from Sly 2? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you're wondering if I will do the same for 3 and 4, I will. I can't promise when, but with time, they'll pop up. Okay? So yeah, I've been Vivi, and thank you so much for watching.